All right. Okay. So good night, everyone. Welcome back to Confidence in Color. I'm just so excited about this series. I can't tell you. It's just been like phenomenal so far. And I know tonight is just going to continue that streak. I mean, why not? Right. So we thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this conversation. This has really just been dedicated to uplifting and empowering women of color. And I've gathered some amazing thought leaders, motivational speakers, and regular women just like you to really share their insights, experiences, and challenges to help us see that our own goals are achievable. Right. And we've touched on so much. We've touched on identity, love, courage, remembering our birthright and taking up space. And tonight we gain a deeper understanding of the insightful messages coming from our body. I feel like we've been in this headspace, we've been in this heart space, and now we get to expand to our whole body, which is just phenomenal. And this conversation is particularly important to me as a therapist because, so much of our experiences, good or bad, like truly just lives in our body. Right. And I think we don't give that enough credit as it is, right? And as people, that we've got to really attune to that and pay attention to that. And we get to do a little bit of that today. The body really keeps the score. And for many of us as women of color with high rates of stress, high blood pressure, obesity, heart disease, dis-ease, period, we're not tuning into what our body needs and what our deeper selves need. Right? So in today's session, will better help you understand the insightful messages coming from your body. I'm your host tonight and curator of Confidence in Color, Amanda Flood, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist and mindset coach for women in business. I support leaders with navigating stress and burnout so their people can thrive, so they can thrive. And I support my women entrepreneurs as well with the mindset needed to conquer their fears and dominate their business. Our guest tonight is Dr. Oriental Medicine and Holistic Wellbeing Consultant, Dr. Denicia Hilton Harper. Yay! So excited to have her in the room with us. And I know that we're going to learn just so much from her. And I hope that you guys just continue to listen with an open heart and an open mind, right? Because it's in that space of sharing that we learn. And tonight we'll be chatting it up about our bodies. Right, our body anxieties interpreter, exploring the insightful messages coming from your body. So Dr. Denicia, can you tell us a little bit more about you? We'll just get right up in there.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited. I mean, we're getting to have some conversations or playversations, as I call them, where this is like my zone is, whoa, I can openly like talk about this intersection, especially when it comes to the body and the way that we think and what we believe and how it shows up, right? Like it's not just some woo-woo stuff, it's
Mm-hmm.
what's cool is seeing that this 5,000 plus year old medicine that talked about these intersections and the way that it shows up, that now we're able to see like, oh, yeah, we can see these biochemical markers changes. We can see these neurotransmitters that happen. We can see the synaptic formations that end up happening just from thoughts. We can see hormone levels
Oh,
change
yeah.
just from thoughts. So it's like, it's not woo-woo, it's not out there. It's like really in our body and all of these changes that are happening. And so to be able to come in and like bring it into more and more spaces like this and you opening up the doors to have these conversations, especially amongst women. Yes, right? Like, boom, here we are. Like, it's like, especially with women of color, because one of the big things that I realize that is something that we are definitely navigating right now, where there is a lot, like you said, so far in your series, it's been a lot in the mind. And it's a lot in heart, right? But the thing is that we are actually healing a lot that has happened to our bodies. And so when we don't trust our bodies, we are actually missing the messages that are coming from the bodies that are actually supporting us in our growth, in our evolution, in our own way that we do things, right? And so it's like, even then, when the conversations are from the past and what's happening, and all these talks amongst people of color right now, right? Like your legacy, generational wealth, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
generational health, y'all.
Oh, get it, get it, get it, get
This
it.
is a different type of legacy. Like, what
Uh-huh.
is the legacy that you actually want to leave? It's not just about some properties that you're passing along.
Mm,
It's about what are you learning and how it is that you deal with stress and anxiety that's encoded in your genetics, that
okay.
is actually literally being passed forth. Even if you don't live birth human, you actually are still leaving a legacy in your interactions with others that are in your
Mm,
environment,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
That's the energetic legacy that you're leaving.
mhm. Right.
And
And we can't build that legacy and sustain that legacy if we're not healthy, right? We're
right,
not healthy emotionally and we're not healthy physically.
right. And the beauty of it though is that it's realizing that because you're a whole system, you're a whole self. Oftentimes you'll see in my tagline, I'm gonna put this straight up right out there. My tagline is I am whole, I am complete, I am perfect. In a world where it is celebrated to say nobody's perfect, and especially
Mm,
for me growing up, that's all I heard, ain't nobody perfect but God himself. And
okay,
and
speak a
now,
word.
right now though, what I see from my own studying is sure, God is perfect, and I was made in his likeness. So by extension, I am perfect as well, as I am whole and complete, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you feel into that and you start to see it in the wholeness and completeness of even bringing in the spiritual components of you, the
Mhm,
mental components, the emotional components, the physical, our bodies, you are actually building the whole system. The whole system even includes your relationships with others, relationships with nature. That is a whole.
mm,
And so as you navigate in either of those sub aspects of the system, you
mhm,
actually are impacting the others.
mm,
So to
mhm.
me, it's like
The
you're
more you
doing
kind
it
of like cultivate each area, everything begins to kind of shift. Yeah.
right. So it doesn't matter to me, like in which way that you do it, right? And the thing is, it's going to happen anyway. All I'm asking is, do you want it to happen unconsciously or do you want it to happen consciously and intentionally?
Yeah, we want to work on the intentional part because when we don't is when we run into some problems, right?
Yes.
So coming back into like this amazing body, why do you
Mm.
find it amazing? And you've already started to hit on it already, but give us a little bit more about this body and what's so special about it.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what you already introduced, right? Your body keeps score. And that is such a beautiful book. There's others that I've read as well, and have put in together. And the thing
Yeah.
is the body to me is a messenger. It is our tangible communicator, right? Like, and with that, it has its own functions. It has the biological functions. Yes, indeed, for sure. And it's also realizing that our body is actually responding to environments, and it's responding to internal environments and it's responding to external environments. And so then what we see when we're in our bodies is actually a manifestation of that, right? And so to me it's amazing and it's just so beautiful because in those times, especially when you have those thoughts of insecurity, those thoughts of this isn't me, I can't do this, or those thoughts of what if, da 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 da, because we're talking about anxiety, right? Like when that happens in the mind, you can always rely on the body to give you what it is, like what actually is really happening, to even give you some insight as far as how to handle XYZ. How can you reset, right? How and when you come into the denseness of the body, this is why anxiety to me tends to like happen so quickly because it's all up here. It's lighter energy, so it's going to move a lot faster, right? And then it takes the body some time to kind of catch up because just the energy of it is heavier and it's denser, but it still responds. Pieces of it still respond. This is
Mm,
why the nervous system can respond in the way that it responds. It is meant to constantly be reading what's happening in the environment internally and externally
mm,
so that it can send the messages to let the other systems know how to
to
respond.
do. Right. So what's happening in our environment definitely impacts us, right?
Mhm.
And then it has like these unique little things that it turns off and on in our bodies that can show up good or bad. And I guess in the same reverse, whatever's happening in our bodies then has this play like outwardly into the environment as well. But
Precisely.
our bodies are like dope, right? Like we have the power to heal it, and we have the power to also hurt it just by like our actions or by, you know, our stories, our life experiences. And you know, I think for women of color, like we deal with so many things uniquely every day, from the little microaggressions to just daily life and responsibilities. But I'm not sure that we prioritize our body, right? So,
Right.
you know, for women of color, like, do you think that we see the value of our bodies, right? And in your mind, why is that? And how
So
does it kind of disrupt our possibilities? Long, long
yeah,
question.
yeah.
But talk to us, girl.
And first of all, I do appreciate you using the word value, um,
Mm,
because I have an issue with the W word, the worth one.
mm,
Um, so like when it comes to valuing our bodies, I actually think that we don't necessarily value it as much to give it credit to like I feel like it's because we don't if we didn't realize the power that is within the body, right? And what it can do for us, then we might end up valuing it more to prioritize it more. So, and with that, I think that I think a lot of it started younger, you know, in which for many households, you grew up with this the parent or guardian, what they say, that's it, right? And so there was no like, but I don't want to like I don't want to eat
uh,
that, or I'm
Beginning of
not
how we
hungry right
trust our
now.
body.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And so that meant then the external knowing of your like the knowings of your body was actually kind of deterred. And
Mhm,
so someone else was telling you, you can hold it, you don't have to eat right now, and then unfortunately others had assault experiences, and so therefore someone else then is asserting their own external power on our bodies,
mhm, mhm.
right? So then you grow into adolescence and now in adulthood and all of
Life,
those things, right?
right.
Where like now you hear these conversations like, I didn't even see it like that. Or I'm just not like, I can just deal with it
Mhm,
because we kind of got accustomed to external people and whatnot kind of telling us. And so now I have this invitation of actually beginning to establish this trust with your own body, right? To begin learning your body and its nuances in ways that we were not taught in the classroom or taught at home. A lot of it, my history being in practice of really focusing on reproductive health. And I loved it. And I've just expanded upon it now for some people that might know me from that time, because I needed to expand. When I was just focusing on reproductive health, the issues that I saw were bigger. And so one of them was this like not learning about your menstrual cycle from a holistic perspective. And what did that do and for us? Like we'll just take birth control without really truly having true informed consent of all of what could happen, right? Or we're not even going to teach the menstrual cycle anymore in the classrooms, and so now you're going to be floundering around consulting your friends who are also 13 and 14, or Dr. Google or Dr. TikTok, as someone said recently. Like, and so once again, these are all ways that we're displacing and our power into outside sources. And so I ask, well, what can I do to actually inform about the body and the nuances and the messages so that you can really then see and
Mhm,
begin to guide yourself as you
mhm,
come across these different tools, right? That I call them tools to resource,
mhm.
like not tools and resource, but they're tools to resource. So meaning coming back, source you. So what tools are you employing and you're looking at, you're checking. Are these tools empowering? Do these tools actually create the pathway for you to come back to yourself and be able to feel like I made this choice and I feel good and great and confident about it? And so when it comes to going back to what you're saying about us valuing why and why not, like that to me is just a bunch of stuff like that all has come together into this pot. And at the same time, though, I want to say like I feel like there's great opportunity here. So where there is discussions about microaggressions that occur, right? Or where there are these discussions of building the generational wealth and the tangible property and money and all of that stuff conversation, there's still opportunity about the generational health as well.
Mm,
And it's n- navigating these conversations in a way that are not re-traumatizing.
right, right,
And
right.
I feel like in so many spaces that I've been in as well, to have like to just have an understanding of where people are, um, it just keeps everybody's just spinning in cycles. And so,
Yeah, yeah. And
you know,
I like the point that you're making where the cycle may start from when we were younger in how much agency and control we give the other over their body and all the experiences of our life where we may have lost that agency, which means then we lose in a way the value of our bodies, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's harder to really connect to what's possible if we're already disconnected from our bodies. Right? I think this body is powerful.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why we also struggle with the power within us and the power of this body and how important it is and what it means is because it carries so much discomfort. Right? Like you mentioned, things like assaults, right? That disrupts your body. Things like, weight gain, weight loss. Things like you mentioned adolescence and the rapid changing in our bodies and whether or not we have information on that, right? Our bodies in spaces where we don't feel like we belong, right? All of that
Mhm.
hurt, physical and emotional, that's a weight on our bodies
Yeah.
that we usually ignore because it's hard to really face it and deal with it until it's broken down. And I think that like leads us right into this space of how do we pay attention, right? So can you tell us a little bit more about our bodies as the interpreter and
Mhm.
anxiety? And I think it may even be the interpreter for anxiety, but this is a good place to think about how do we listen to our bodies and what it's telling us about, what we need.
Yeah. So oftentimes, and this actually is what happened with me as well, like a part of that whole ignoring, but it was more out of ignorance and really because I just didn't know, I was not aware
Mm,
of where the anxiety tends to present itself. And there's actually other things that are going on within the body that could be very tiny and small that you just don't think about, all the way up to the physical symptoms, whether it's like redness and sweating in the chest or in the palms of the hands and the feet, um, whether it's feeling heart palpitations and whatnot that's going on there in the chest. For some, it is mostly mental, and it's the thoughts that end up literally getting to a point where the body just does not even want to move. Like it's that like I am so frozen right now. Um, and then that's where you can come in. Is it fight or flight or freeze or fawn? How are you responding? So then also some also get the tummy aches and digestive system just for some it's gonna stop running, for others it's gonna keep running, right? Like it's just yeah, like and so here's a few things off the top of my head that some can use is is really seeing, okay, so for the thoughts are gonna go faster. Like I said, it's a lighter energy. So thoughts are
mhm,
gonna go faster.
mm,
And so when you start to feel it in the body, kind of like like pause as much as you can, right? And then while yes, you're bringing yourself into the present, it's it's then like trying to recall like what was going on right before it happened. So like
mm. Like putting
we're
the pieces of the puzzle together. Like when did this happen? What it is really noticed in the cues.
Yeah. And so, like, was it a call? Was it a phone call?
Right.
Was it a text that you
Hmm.
just read? Is
A
it that you're driving?
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, now I just spoke about those things that just happened, like this past. Also, anxiety is really big on future, right? So
Hmm.
then, was it something that was just from the past that you're anticipating and projecting into the future? Or in my case, what it was too is mine started, I started realizing I would get really itchy in my chest and
Mm,
hot.
hmm.
And it was when I was at a certain point on the expressway going into this job. And it wasn't necessarily the job itself as it was the person that
Uh,
created this experience for me that just was
Within
not
that
great.
setting.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then when realizing that, it's like, oh, okay. I'm seeing that this is happening because I'm totally getting ready
I
to go
see.
in here. And the body
Yeah.
remembers your
Hmm.
response when you're in those environments. So it
Hmm.
started preparing itself to fight, started preparing itself to survive, quote unquote. And so it's even, and this is another thing I see, be very, very mindful, not even mindful. Excuse me, because mind to me is just mind. Like, and people aren't, it's the whole, really pay attention when you keep using phrases, certain phrases, and especially
Hmm.
ones that are very common in our community. I find when I feel into it, it's energetically gunk.
Hmm.
And so, like, oh yeah, I'm just surviving in these streets. I'm surviving and thriving, right? Like, so on one hand, I'm sitting here going, wow, I really want to open this conversation as to, like, what is it that you're surviving right now that has you continuously saying this, right? Um,
That
because
disconnection, right? Like it's easier to say that. It's easier to just show up or whatever it is, not thinking about the meaning and
right.
what it's actually like doing for you.
Mhm. And but the thing is that stuff is showing up in the body. And so
Yeah.
you're not realizing that it is showing up in the body. You're surviving. So therefore you've activated and you're
Mhm.
more than likely in that constant like cortisol pumping mode, right? Of seeing, where do I have to fight? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm constantly looking around, right? And then, like, just other sayings like, you getting on my nerves, right? Pay attention then,
Mm,
because we have a
mhm, mhm,
nervous
mhm.
system.
Right. The
And
wording is the indicator that something is going on, something is going wrong,
yeah,
right? And I love that because that may even be sort of like unique to us too, where we might say those things, he's getting on my nerves, or I'm tired of him, or I don't even want to be around him, or whatever it is, those like
I don't even want to hear it.
catchphrases.
I don't even want to
Yeah,
hear it. Yet you have
right,
recurring ear infections or
right.
ear pain.
Right. Or you feel that upset stomach around that person that's having that conversation or that migraine. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's like that connection. And I hope you guys are picking up on this. We're putting in that connection between what could be happening to you outside and how your body is feeling. Right. And
Yeah.
sometimes it may not even be the thing that you think. Like you were like, it wasn't the exit, it wasn't work. It was really that person that I've had this experience with that now my body is having this whole reaction to, and there's a whole nother level to that in terms of like our brain responding, thinking like we're in danger, and it's actually trying to protect you, but
Right.
it's exuding this physical
Response.
right that doesn't
And
necessarily feel good.
yeah, and you could go, if I add on another layer,
Hmm.
it was mostly, like I said, in my chest. So it's their heart space, right?
Mm,
For me, what happened and how it would show up is that I didn't feel like I could actually be me. I couldn't like genuinely open up my heart in that space out of fear of what would happen with this coworker. And so then I'm blocking literally the energy flow between of my heart space. And so even then for some where it is digestive, and it's like, okay, is it, like I said, is it running or is it
hmm.
like stopping, right? Like, and or is it just a lot of pain just churning? To
Yeah.
me, then, especially if it's more tummy like area, stomach area, then it's like, in what ways is it that you might actually feel like you can't even be who you are? and
Mm,
that the lines are so blurred between you and then that whatever that is in the environment, whether that is a workplace or a
mhm,
person, it could be in your home or whatever it might be, you're gonna feel it because like that in that space where you're digesting, it's like you can't digest what is actually
mm,
happening
thing.
around you.
And that's how in tune the body is to
Yeah.
your mind and your experience. And it's trying to tell you, but then we mask it, right? And going back to your earlier point about just like value, and if we don't recognize, which is really then this early intuition about what we need, we already
Hmm.
start to cut that off when we start telling our kids what they need, or we stop allowing people to make decisions for themselves, right?
Oh, you don't
And
need that. Like, and these is
right.
real quick.
But how
I
you know?
don't,
How you know it's in my stomach?
but
Like how
I'm
you know what I
thirsty. Like,
feel,
yeah,
right?
like,
Like, am I really?
yeah.
Okay, right? So now we're adults and we're like, okay, so maybe I just have I ate something bad, or like my head just hurts because I just get migraines, and we're not connecting to no, it's because I'm having this experience that's not okay, or my body's trying to tell me that I'm struggling with something.
Yeah. And it to me, it's also the way that the authentic spirit, the soul.
Mm,
So the authentic self, the you, your soul, that's how it's also speaking. So
mm,
deep within your soul, something is not right
yes.
in that situation. And it's using the body. And like I said, depending on where it's at, can have a different interpretation of the meaning from the soul.
Okay, so stomach is it's hard to
You see what I'm
digest.
saying?
Give us one more. What might be another one?
Another one, oh, might actually, all I can think about how many I've seen people talk about this, like they knees be hurting or they hips, and
Ooh, tell us about
I
that because we
can't,
hear it
I'll
all
be
the
so
time.
stiff, I can't move,
Hmm.
like kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
They're joints. They're meant to move, right?
Mm.
So especially if they're joints of the leg, where that is literally your way of walking forward
Ooh,
or backward or
okay.
sideways.
All
There's
right, getting away
something
from something. Something keeping us stuck. Girl, talk to us, honey. Ooh, child.
exactly.
Hmm.
So, in what ways is that something that may have come? So, I'm going to try to do a timeline here. The thought may have come in quickly,
Right.
but all you can feel is like within like the knee or the hip, it
Mm.
is just kind of jarred, or there's some pain that came in, or something like that. Right. And
Mm.
then,
All of a sudden, I can't anymore.
yeah. And it
Mm.
could even be as simple as like you might have agreed to do something and you don't want to do it really,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then what happens? People say, "Well, my word is my bond." Uh actually, my I do get that, and at the same time, it does not honor people's energetics of that time and that you can change your
You need.
mind.
Yes, yeah. And
You
I
may
think that's how we distract ourselves too, right? Because maybe it is harder to say no, or to set that boundary, or to deal with
mhm.
what it is. So either then we'll get in situations that we really don't want to be in, right? Or we'll do that
Yeah.
thing where like we're the superhero and we need to be there for everybody. And we
Or
get
there's fear of
mm-hmm,
she's wishy-washy or
mm,
something like that. When actually there are types of people that have to feel into certain things in order to make the
mm,
choices. They're
right.
feeling into it with their body, they're feeling into it, whether it's emotional, right? Then and because then what happens is people say, if I go to you and I say, you know what, let me think about this. In some environments,
Mm-hmm,
simply because you said, let me think about this, they have this assumption that you don't know what you want.
right.
When
Or we
actually,
have an assumption that we're giving off this energy that we don't know something and we can't look like
right,
we don't know.
right. When really you just needed the space
To
to be
figure it.
able to take in the information and come to a truly informed consent.
Mm,
So if I were to take this and you want to talk generationally, what happened? You had to make quick snap judgments because it was life or death
mhm,
in a lot of these ancestral lines, right? Well, now we have such great opportunity that we can create the pause and we can so enjoy and just luxuriate in the time that we can create when it is that we can sync to ourselves and see, is this something really that I am to do? Is this really what my soul is asking me to do that's in alignment with that, in alignment with my purpose that's here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you did say, I said I could before,
Mhm.
but I really can't do it now.
Right.
And the
Right.
thing is sure, for some people who've been around you for so long, they may not
Makes it kind of
understand, or
funky.
they'll get
Uh-huh.
upset,
Right. But that's okay.
and they'll either understand and start to appreciate that you were
Yeah.
actually open with them about it. Because otherwise, if you did do it, what happens? Now people got attitudes,
Mhm.
right? People got
Mhm.
short tempers. They get
Mhm.
angry really easily,
You
which
might
are
regret it, right? Which then doesn't
exactly
sit well with you. Yeah.
right. And so then you just kind of, so remember that legacy I said? That
Mhm.
energetic legacy? Now you just left this legacy at this point in time of this occasion. And that was the mark that you left,
Mhm.
when it could have been something different. So like, and I don't believe in good or bad, as far as in situations like this, because that's practicing a judgment. What it is that I do say is it's simply a response.
Mhm.
That's all it is. Your response was this, and then it came about and expressed itself as anger, or like we said, the resentment and all of the short tempers and everything. Or it could present itself as, I'm not going to be my best. I'm not going to be able to, be able to do XYZ. And I totally get that there's just certain environments and circumstances where you really got to like try to just be there as best as you can. I get that. And that happens for many. At the same time, I'd ask you though, to really see if that's the case or not, because
Mhm.
sometimes we think that it is like, I don't have a choice. I don't have this option to tell them,
Right. What we
but
think may
we,
not be accurate, right? There may be more options there than that we're even giving
yeah.
space for. And I like that you use the word space. So this might be about, how do I create more space in my life for decisions? How do I create space for just even tuning in to what has maybe been happening to my body? And I want to quickly shift to, what are some things that people can do concretely? If you can give us like one or two things, that's because we are running on time. And
Oh
I
yeah.
want to give
Okay.
everybody their space and time. So what's something that we can do, whether it's along the lines of building confidence or like holistically reducing anxiety beyond the symptoms? What's something that we can take away with us today?
Okay. So, see where it is that you can play with touch. So touch can, and I mean like touching like your own body.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we were talking about today is trusting. And so one way to do that, where you may not be able to mentally just do it yet, we're a whole system, as we talked about, right? We're a whole system. So we're going to go in through the physical angle here, and then we're going to allow the emotions to come meet us, right? So if you come in with this thought that I'm going to now appreciate, say, my breasts. So I'm just going to literally just lay my hands and just touch. Allow yourself to sit there, and you're going to have thoughts all about that, right? Just thoughts that come up. Here's the practice, is to allow the thoughts to come and just watch them like they're on a movie screen,
Hmm.
while simultaneously observing your breath, where there might be memories of anxiousness, of fear. You might notice a shortness of breath. You might start really breathing kind of shallowly. The gift of the body, though, is once with through touch of your hands and just sitting there, it realizes it's actually safe.
Yeah. Yeah. We're back to
It'll
homeostasis.
start to magically even out all on its own.
Right.
So do that with different body parts, especially
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about like valuing our body and appreciating the various ways that, especially amongst our community, that it
Hmm.
shows up, right?
Right.
And celebrating yours. And one of those is through touch. We don't touch beyond like, let me just shower real quick,
Right.
and
We're
another
scared
way,
of that too. It's another place to just create space, right? And
yeah.
like you're saying, like notice, right? Even in the shower, like notice the water on you, right? Notice the scent
Hmm.
of like your soap, or even notice why you want to hurry up. Like what
Yeah,
is that about?
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, we lotioning and oiling ourselves up, right? So slow that process down.
Right, right, right.
Slow it. Sometimes I do that. Like I'll take like, especially if it's butter, because
Oh, it just
those can
smells
take some
good.
time. They
Mm-hmm.
take time to go in, right? So so yeah, just really be with it and be like,
Right.
oh, okay, okay, and then you
Mm-hmm.
start to feel how your skin starts to absorb it and it even transforms. It's like feeling that moisture. It's
Mm.
feeling the difference. If you even just start speaking to yourself, of what it is that you want to even bring in with mixing in the touch aspect
Mm-hmm.
for yourself and just kind of make that a practice. You can do it like once a week of that
Right,
extended
right, right.
lotioning up,
That's right. Doesn't have to
right?
be all the time, honey. We get it. You
Yeah.
have things to do, but it's being intentional with that, right? Or again, if I don't want to do it, like why? Right?
Yeah.
And think about that. Why are you not worth slowing down? I know you don't like the worth word, but why can't I slow
Yeah.
down? If I can give my time to everybody else, why can't I just do that for me and in ways that can maybe empower me again or help me to tune back in again and claim this body again that's been trying to tell me for so long that there's just so much going on that just needs my attention, right?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I guess even right now, just invite everybody just to take a breath, right? So can we just take a big breath in through our nose? So breathing in and letting that go.
Mm.
Right? And like there's so much that can happen within that pause space, and it doesn't have to be long because we hold on to so much. Like, can this be the moment, the day, the year that we let go a little bit and think about doing things a little bit differently?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will give you just one last opportunity to tell people where they can find you. This has been just
Yeah.
in so many ways. We got to touch on lots of different things, but this is the work that you do. So, if folks want to learn more or just, hear more from you, where can they connect?
Yeah, I would love to connect with others on Instagram and LinkedIn. You'll find both of those at Denicia Hilton would be the handle for either one of those. And yeah, like really, if you're down for your woman who's an entrepreneur or a leader, and I consider leadership in many capacities, whether that's you
Oh
in your
yeah.
church or your volunteer community,
Right.
wherever it is, and you're desiring to figure out like how can I playfully create an environment for my holistic health so I can lead by being my perfect authentic self, then I'm your gal. And
Come get it, come
we're
find
gonna do
her.
it. We're gonna do it at the perfect playground. That's my space. And I would love to welcome you there.
And we are never too big to play. It's probably the biggest thing we do is we stop playing, right? So wonderful. Absolutely phenomenal. And if you guys love this today, drop a heart. If there's one takeaway, that stands out for you from today, drop that too. Share with us what that
Yes.
takeaway is. There's so many great gems that came out from today's conversation. Hopefully you guys have had many from this Confidence in Color series, and I really look forward to all of our future conversations. It's so powerful and empowering to be in this space with other women, other women of color, just like doing that thing. And we don't always get to sit in that. So for me, it was powerful to just be in this space with you, Denicia. So thank you so much for that. I look forward to all of our future experiences, whether that be the retreat in July, just for women of color, whether that be whatever comes up between now and then. We hope that you stay connected, and we hope that everything that you've experienced helps you to fill your cup and maybe just own that confident you just a little bit more. Right? Thank you again, Dr. Denicia Hilton Harper,
Thank
and the
you.
wisdom that you imparted today. And thank you all of you that really prioritized yourself and decided to show up today, decided to listen today, decided to catch the replay, whatever it was, we thank you. And we will just continue holding space for all of us, right? So thank you guys. And I don't want to just happy you, happy day, happy body, happy us. We wish you endless happiness. Good night, everyone.